Hi guys, it's Molly. I'm back. This is actually part 2 of my exploration into solar consciousness. I had paused and was going to continue, but we were already at 25 minutes, so I decided to make a new video for you guys. This is a reading in which I'm going to ask the question of whatever collective comes in at this time of how can we better connect or better know sun consciousness, solar consciousness, okay? There's a statement that was made in the raw materials that I shared in the last reading that says that the sun achieves meaning according to the growing abilities of entities, you and I, right, to grasp the living creation and co-entity or other self-nature of this sun body. So how do we begin to see the sun as well as all other creation in the solar system as simply other selves, okay? That's essentially the question that I want to get to here. I have called in additional protection. If you guys have been watching some of my videos lately, I talk about quantum self-protection. And I'll go ahead and share a link to that down below. It was really important to bring in the pyramids. So if you guys are familiar with that process, for some reason, I did feel like this message was at risk of being distorted by energies that didn't really want it to get out, okay? So what I'm doing now, I feel I'm already getting the vibe that I'm gonna need to have several cards on the table before the message becomes clear. But I'm beginning with Denise Lynn's Sacred Traveler Oracle cards. I'm also going to be using 2 other Oracle decks, the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards and the Spellcasting Oracle cards. I just feel like these particular decks have images that can tell the story that wants to come through. Thank you for your patience, you guys. This is requiring a lot of focus just because I don't want to say that I'm forcing myself into the proper wavelength, but it does maintain some focus to be able to maintain the vibration to get the collective that wants to come into me right now. Wow. Take the first step. I love this. I love this. Let me see what comes out of here while I unpack. We have 3 cards. Great Adventure, begin now and in the flow. Great Adventure says take a risk, venture forward. Begin now says take your first step, and in the flow is everything is smooth sailing. Okay, now they want me to share another piece of information that I've gathered from the materials here. Okay? The asking becomes easier upon the asking. Okay? Just ask, right? Just ask. Ask the same question that I'm asking right now. How can I personally better know solar and understand and experience solar consciousness? Okay? Ask, because there are representatives, messengers of the law of one, extra-dimensional, extraterrestrial entities that are here to help us. But they can't just be like, hey, knock, 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 I am here to preach the gospel of solar consciousness, okay? They are restricted by the law of free will, which means we have to do the asking. We have to do the asking, okay? So take your first step. For some of you guys, this is literally going into meditation and astrally projecting to the sun. See what happens. Just see what happens. Okay? Another thing, the thing that came from the book that they want me to talk about is the law of squares. Which means, let's say I'm just one little person asking for some sort of guidance, leadership, teaching to come through regarding how I can better connect with solar consciousness. I'm just one person doing the ask, right? You get another person in there doing the asking, and the power of that asking doesn't double. It multiplies exponentially. It squares, okay? So, what is 2 squared? It's still 4. Okay. Let's say you get 3 of us in here, all right? That's not just 3 times the original asking. It's 9 times the original asking. Because it's 3 times to the, 3 squared, 3 times 3, okay? I hope I'm explaining this correctly. But basically, the more of us that focus our intention on receiving this information, the more powerful the asking becomes, and the more likely that we're going to get a response, okay? This in the flow is interesting to me because I'm going to show you, let me show you all the pictures. This is great adventure. Take a risk, venture forward. Begin now, which is actually really amazing because there's this path that leads off to the sun, and there are helpers and resources on the path, is what they're letting me know about the chicken and the other travelers. And then we have in the flow, which is a very non-sunny imagery. Okay, it's very snowy. But it says everything is smooth sailing, which to me says that the only resistance that we're going to find on this path is resistance from within. Okay? That there are, okay, wow. All right, so they're giving me an understanding that I'd like to share with you. One of the things that I want to share with you in my sort of getting deeper into what is the 4th density. In the works of Dolores Cannon, in the Convoluted Universe, I think it's in book 3, I recently came across an interview. Basically, that's another set of books that's made up of transcripts of these quantum healing hypnosis sessions in which her clients go into past lives, and many of which are not as human beings on the planet Earth, okay? But her person did a regression into a 4th density Earth existence. Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? Because they got me into the story and I'm like, from now, where are we going with this? Okay? So it's, where are we going with this, you guys? Oh, the thought is gone. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, I remember what the guy said. Okay, so what the guy said is, hey, this guy's in the 4th density. And he's like, oh my gosh, I know that the 3rd density Earth is in trouble. I'm going to be reborn as a baby into a 3rd density incarnation because what has happened is the 3rd density human beings had lost their way. All right? This path already exists between humanity and solar consciousness, right? But everybody who was in the 3rd density had lost that way. So what he said is, we know the way because we got here to the 4th density. Some of us are choosing, just like many people on other planets did, to incarnate as 3rd density Earth human beings so that we can walk this path. And it's almost like, imagine that there's a field that you need to cut through, like when you go to school, okay? And over time, the path gets overgrown. So it's almost like those of us who know the path have come down onto this earth plane at this time to walk that path, to begin to clear it for the others. Just to simply walk the path. To find our connection to solar consciousness. And in doing that, what we don't have to drag anybody else along with us. We just walk the path, and now the path is a little clearer to the next person who comes along. Okay? That was the perspective that was shared in this sort of fourth density regression. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can include any other info on that for you guys if you're interested. You guys, I cannot switch back between my channeling brain and my writing brain like that. Whew, thank you for all being here with me, because you know, channeling these types of energies, it's new, okay? I'm walking this path for the first time in this incarnation to be able to make it easier for others to be able to do the same, and hopefully for me to be able to do the same in the future, okay? The path has already been created. So if you guys are doing research into other sun deities that have been revered by past cultures, you guys are trying to rediscover the path. That's freaking amazing. It's like, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ancient texts that serve as sort of maps to where you can find the path. And then once we walk it, it's easier for other people to do. Why did that floor me? Because the seeking for light must come from the darkness. Grow within your current situation. Yeah, yes, you guys. This illusion of separation is the darkness. And it's what has been ruling third density Earth for thousands of years. And we had to come down here and experience that darkness in order to be able to bring the light into it. So many of us who are walking this path, you know it took a lot of work to get here. We had to go through our own darkness. Grow within your current situation. There are so many messages coming through. Look at, I don't know if you see it, but her eyes are just speaking to me. Okay, so one of the things that she says is, okay, the grow within your current situation is the fact that we are, let's say, if you identify as a starseed or a wanderer, even if you came from fourth, sixth density, right? You came from a higher vibrational frequency than we are occupying on Earth at this time, okay? So we have to grow within the limitations of this frequency to the best of our ability to bring in as much as we can from those higher densities. As much as we, like, the ways in which we have learned to embody the law of one in those other incarnations, we can bring as much of that into this incarnation as possible. And that's our job, is to figure out how many ways can we do that. But this is also talking to me, oh gosh, you guys, oh, I know, I feel it. I'm giving a great big mental hug just to the entire collective, because they're talking to me about these past several years. Being isolated from one another really forces us to grow within that situation. And those of us who have grown ultimately have done so by going within. Okay? Wow. And now she says, what you have found within, act that out, live it out in the world. We don't have to drag other people along with us. And in fact, we're interfering upon their own spiritual journey when we do that. Okay? Be there to answer. Look at my hair. You guys, my hair's crazy right now. Be there to answer for those who ask. But you don't have to go out there knocking on doors saying, have you heard about the fact that the sun is simply another manifestation of the self? Okay? She's really letting us know. A lot of us come here and we know that we have a mission and we feel like it's to bring everybody along. No, our mission was to come here and learn how to take all the abilities and the awareness and the knowledge that we have on these other vibrational frequencies that we've occupied in the past. How can we bring that in here? There's no manual, there's no user's manual, there's no guide. We're just here exploring, how does that happen? How can we do that? And it's meant to be fun. Second card that came out here is the Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. Because what happens, okay, how far do I get into this? There's a lot of channel message. I mean, just information, the stuff that I've read that wants to come through, just to explain what wants to come through. All right. There are several types of souls on the planet at this time, okay? There are souls that in their most recent past lives, like they're just living out the next in a sequence of third density earth incarnations in order to free themselves, so when they die at the end of this incarnation, to be born into fourth density earth in their next life, okay? There are also souls that in their own planetary systems, solar systems, they got through the third density, okay? And now, this is within the past, I'm going to say since 2012, are beginning to be born onto this planet in order to help usher in the fourth density, okay? Then, there are those of us who have come from the advanced fourth, the fifth, primarily fifth and sixth density, okay? Squeeze ourselves into this little teeny tiny vibrational frequency, into these bodies, into these illusions, into these egos, in order to be able to begin to act out fourth density ways. The fourth density, do we call it a logos, on this planet, okay? Fourth and fifth and just the higher densities, okay? And that's what these changing times are about. And you guys, this is a message that's been coming from everywhere. There's literally a shift in the quality of the quantum fabric in which the earth is embedded at this time. I don't know what that means. I understand it, but I don't know if you guys know what that means, okay? Something about, because in addition to, like, we're consciousness, right? The sun is consciousness, the earth is consciousness, okay? And because there's something larger going on right now on the level of the earth's consciousness evolution, there's a shift in our reality from this third to this fourth density vibration. Those are the changing times. Trust, as we are moving into this new density, this new vibrational frequency, trust all that you have found within. Because a lot of us, when quarantine began, when lockdown began, we really, I'm talking about like really went within. Like we did some shadow work, but also we've opened up portals in here and gone to other dimensions. Trust that is the reality that we're bringing into this earth realm at this time, okay? Trust it so much more than you trust the information that seems to be coming to you from the older timeline, the older third density earth timeline. That's an old timeline. The same rules do not apply, okay? The same rules do not apply. This drum is taking us back to the idea of this logos. In my last video, I tried to explain what I meant by logos. Okay, so you have the all infinite creation, it fragments, and each of those fragments starts as chaos and eventually settles into its own rhythm. And that rhythm becomes its logos, and essentially becomes the laws that define the universes that come out of that logos, right? So the rhythm, that's what this drum is about. Dream and journey. You guys, when you're able to tap into that sun, that solar consciousness in meditation, like if you guys have ever done, like if you ever heard of the concept of transcendental meditation, that's how I started in meditation a long time ago. And it just really, it helped me with some stress, but also was fun to do. To be like, oh, look, now I'm a willow tree. What would that feel like to have my roots in the earth and the sun on my leaves? And oh my gosh, now I'm a whale, and I'm just imagining how the light and the sound must move at these depths. Right? That's transcendental meditation. That's a way of connecting. That is the law of one in action. That's a way of connecting with the other self, nature of a willow tree, of a whale. Okay? You can do a transcendental meditation and you're just, what is it like to be the sun? And in fact, those of you who have been there in your sixth density incarnations can feel really, really familiar. Did we just lose power? I think we just lost power. You guys, look at this. Okay, if we look at this fox, which represents you, it's us, it's the Wanderers, okay? Do you see that like grid on its third eye? It's matching for me the center of this drum. The logos exists within you. The rhythm already, the energy signature of solar consciousness already exists within each and every one of us, okay? And I really also feel that when we tap into that, when we realize that we are the solar system, from that place, you can really do some journeying. You can really do some traveling. Okay? That's gorgeous. All right, 22 minutes. I want to wrap it up, not just because we're at 22 minutes already, but we did just lose power, which means I don't have a fan blowing on me right now. The sweat's gonna start to accumulate. And then I'll just go out there and be in the sun. I'll just soak it up. I'll just soak it all up. But also, do you want to know another thing that's interesting? Just because it came out, when I said, why did this card floor me when I looked at it? Because what I felt was the sorrow of the collective yearning of the 3D consciousness, the third density consciousness of humanity here on Earth. And what's interesting, the reason why that's related to the raw materials, is that another word for these wanderers, these people who go around the universe incarnating in different ways to try to bring people closer to the light, are also known in this book as the brothers and sisters of sorrow. It's because we can feel the sorrow of those in separation. And that's what prompts us to ask, to act. Okay, what else? Okay. That's a very interesting image. Interesting. Okay. What's interesting here is that I've got the card closure, and you see how this door is closed and this person's walking away. What they're showing me is actually a scene of this path that goes towards, and then you open the door at the end of the path and there's the sun. And I feel like that, Oh my gosh, for some reason that doorway is talking to me about the transition between life and death. I understand. That's beautiful. So this whole solar consciousness thing, if you dig a little deeper into the entry on that card that I showed you guys in the last video from Lisa Royal Holt's Galactic Heritage Cards, it talks about the sun simply being a representation of like truth and awareness, right? The awareness that we are all one. But the sun card, and that's a symbol, that's sort of a meaning that the sun card in tarot has for me as well, as along with happiness. Okay? So when we talk about sun energy, solar consciousness energy, happiness in like just the joy that comes with knowing that you are united with everything is the best, the highest expression of solar consciousness. Jesus, you guys, wow. The highest possible, okay, when we talk about trying to squeeze everything that we know from the 5th and 6th and 7th dimension into this lifetime right here where we're transitioning between the 3rd and the 4th, the highest expression of our 6th density love that can come out is just living our life as happily as possible until we have to close that door behind us, meaning until the end of our incarnation on this planet. Okay? And I love this because Carla Rooker also has a book called The Wanderers Handbook. It's also on my shelf. I haven't gotten too deep into it, but I do highly recommend it because she talks about, some of us have like secondary tasks of, well, I'm going to start like a sustainable farming project, or I'm going to introduce this paradigm shift into education, or I'm going to create music that helps connect people with their emotions, right? When we're like, what's my purpose? What am I here in this world to do? Some of us have that, but some of us, primarily, the main thing that we're supposed to do is just to be happy. And that's the best way that we can bring solar consciousness into this lifetime. For as long as we're in it, until we get to that door, where then we are able to return to the oneness of everything. Now I have 2 more cards. One says career, and it's not really about career, it's about the shield. That's really beautiful. Oh, wow. I understand. It's all these birds. Okay, so let's imagine once we walk through this incarnation, living as happily as we possibly can, then we're going to get to the end of this path. We're going to get back over to whatever vibrational frequency we were at before we came into this lifetime. Many of us are actually evolving further in vibrational frequency because of the experience we gain in this incarnation, okay? But now they're showing me on the other side of incarnation, right? Now we're back at our 5th, 6th, 7th density, wherever we exist. And we look down at the earth. And you see what we were doing? We're looking down at the earth after we got done living our lifetime of happiness, okay? And we look at the process of ascension that's going on here. And there's this message that we have to forgive ourselves for the limitations that were placed upon us while we were here. Because some of us will get out of this lifetime and we'll look back and say, I wish I could have done more. And there's this invitation to say, you know what? We can always do another round. Okay? There are also many of you guys I feel that in my heart. Lisa Royal Holt talks about this. The Law of One talks about it a little bit. I'll get into Lemuria energy in the future, okay? As well as at Atlantis. At the fall of those ancient civilizations, there was just at different times in human history. Some of us were the extraterrestrial guides that came to this planet to provide support, right? But things that happened on this planet shifted the frequency to where we could no longer exist in that vibration on this planet, and we had to leave. Some of you have past life memories of being those helpers that had to leave, that couldn't come back, and that felt bad that they couldn't do more while they were here on Earth. Some of you guys are the Lemurians and the Atlanteans who felt abandoned at the end of that era. And that is the biggest thing that's calling for forgiveness. It's a really big thing that's asking us to forgive ourselves for the limitations that are placed on us when we come into this incarnation. It's almost like, okay, that's fun. I like that. Imagine you've been to Disney World and none of the other kids in class have been to Disney World, and you try to explain to them what it's like. You're just not going to have the words. You can't beat yourself up for that, okay? I like the Disney World analogy. Thank you for that. Okay, you guys? So, wow, that was a really, really beautiful message. I feel like the big takeaway is just live a happy life. Live a life of acceptance, awareness, of understanding the unity, and understanding the other self nature of everything else that exists in the world. Live your life happily for as long as you have it here on this earth plane, and don't be upset at yourself, because there's an anxiety that exists on a soul level that some of us are not. Like, we know it's there, but we don't know what it's for. It's because we're mad at ourselves for the work that we thought we could do in the past that we haven't done in different incarnations on lifetime. Some of us are beating ourselves up because we're like, I incarnated into a human body on the 3rd density thinking that I was just gonna boost the entire vibrational frequency of the planet Earth right up to 4th density. But there's so many limitations that are placed on us when you try to take that and put it into this human body and this human plane. Oh, we got fans back. All right, you guys, but that is the end of the message. Thank you for being here and allowing me to deliver it to you guys. Drop comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this. And again, also thank you for your support for the fact that I am an imperfect instrument for channeling these messages, and that I'm just learning every day like the rest of you, okay? I love you so much. I'll see you back again on my channel very, very soon, I hope. Take